Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of Smoke, Episode 6, Manhood. I'm going to break my review down into 3 parts. We'll start with everything going on with Michelle, then Dave, and then finish off with Freddy. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel and follow me at Steve Varley Show on Instagram. I really could use the help with getting Instagram followers right now. I'll do a lot of fun stuff over there as well, so make sure to check it out. So with Michelle, she is informed now about this fire that happened with the 6 milk jugs. But we see that the police are actually on the wrong trail about it, that they think it was someone that had an issue with the wife who was a doctor. So they don't actually have the correct trail to Freddy. Who has the correct trail to Freddy for that fire is Dave, which we'll get to, obviously. But with Michelle's story, it centers around Ezra and Harvey this episode, and we see that Ezra comes in hot to Harvey about Dave, and Michelle backs him up. A big thing they can bring in here is that all these fires happen near the conference again that Dave was at. So Harvey finally opens up to the idea and gets them an offsite. This is where we meet a new character, Special Agent Dawn Hudson, who's bought in. There's this cringe moment for me, though, in the episode. As much as a fan of John Leguizamo I am, this moment where Dawn Hudson says about Dave's book, the proses are hackened and turgent, and John Leguizamo says, "Oh heavens, not the prose." Such a, overdoing it. I felt like a little bit him in this scene, even though I am enjoying his performance overall. Now, Michelle at least gets them to agree to test this device for DNA that she found that Dave used, but it won't hold up in court anyway, but just for their mind to be proven that he did this. But it comes up inconclusive, the evidence, and that's what's going to set Harvey off that this was a bad idea. But on his way out of the room, he hears in the book that Dave's writing, "Kid who died in Sully fire," that the kid pronounces the ice cream Stapatio. Harvey says then to everybody, the kid who died in the Sully fire pronounced pistachio, Stapatio ice cream. His grandfather told me that in a one-on-one interview that I didn't release anywhere. So this is where he knows now it is Dave, that Dave would not know that that kid said Stapatio unless he was at the crime scene with them before the fire. So you see Harvey is heartbroken when he's home. He punches a picture of him and Dave together, and he has this guilt that people died under his watch, not knowing that Dave was up to this. And he has a great scene with his daughter who's trying to comfort him, and he talks about how Dave was the one who comforted the mother of the child who died in the Sully fire, and it's so sick that he thought he was a good guy and that he's actually the one who caused the fire. And Greg Kinnear's performance as Harvey's been great this episode, and in particular, the scene was just amazing. And with Michelle, she comes home to the news from her brother that her mom is coming out of prison. He's all excited. He got his win, but she's breaking down now. This is bad news for her. We still have a lot of mystery about her mother, so it's probably going to ramp up with her story with her mother, especially because we got 3 episodes to go, and it actually feels like the Freddy story is wrapping a lot in this episode. Now let's go to everything with Dave. He got lucky with a car accident. He only really sprained his knee, a little bit of a concussion. But what's so odd is everything that's gone on with his wife and his stepson. And his wife shows up here not even happy he's alive. She's like, "You wounded me and wounded my son." And at one point, Dave's trying to comfort her, saying she didn't fail. And she's like, "I know I didn't. You did." I was like, this is pretty harsh. The guy just got in a car accident. He just survived death. And they got in a big argument about him being late to pick up the stepson and him freaking out at the stepson. But I don't think it was worthy of this kind of reaction by the wife, especially in that situation. He got in a car accident. There's no evidence to her that he did anything wrong. So that just was such a weird scene to me, and weird behavior by the wife. Now Dave looks in the mirror at himself and then sees himself with this crew cut. And he has a vision of him being like his character in the book, like the superhero. And he tells the nurse, "I got an arsonist to catch." And we'll see this later on where he slams a worker on the table asking to look at evidence, that he's having these visions now of really being the character in his book. So he's clearly losing it even more than he already has. But he does good detective work here, following the chain of finding out from the other arson investigator that the husband who died in the recent fire was HR for Chicken Chain Coops, and that he just follows that all the way to Freddy. He even finds a chicken tag in the bag from the fire, which I called was going to happen. And there's a little moment too where when Dave checks in with Harvey, he can tell something's off with that phone call because Ezra's phone rang and Michelle came in awkwardly, so he knows something's off there and what's going on at the offices, which would be super important for next episode. Now, Dave finds footage at the store of Freddy, and then he follows that trail to Freddy's life and goes and talks to a social worker about his childhood. We learn that Freddy was in 27 foster homes since birth, and the last foster home he was with was probably his best situation because it was a longer time he was there. It was from he was 16 and a half, they said, to 19th birthday. But he was kicked out because the state wouldn't pay for him anymore, and the mom could not afford to keep him that way. And 6 months later, that house burned to the ground and everyone inside died. Now, what's really confusing about how they wrote this, though, was the social worker said 2 adults died in the house, which you're like, okay, I guess that was Brenda, because the reveal later on is that Brenda was this mom here. But okay, she didn't die because she's clearly alive. So who were these 2 adults? It made it seem like at first that it was her who died in the fire in the house, saying that no one else survived in the house. So I thought that was really confusing and strange. But it's clearly Brenda, who was the one who couldn't keep in the house, because he says 25 years ago he left her house. But we'll get more into that when we get with Freddy's story. But the last thing with Dave here is that he goes to Freddy's, finds all the jugs, and then finds Brenda's business card in the trash can to really see where he's going to go next. To go to Brenda's, we'll stop there and go to Freddy here to wrap up this episode. First off, I just want to say the actor who's playing Freddy deserves an Emmy nomination. He's been so good. He's been my favorite performance in the show. I'd never seen him before, and I think he's fantastic. He's also in the new Dexter series, and when you see who he's playing in the Dexter series compared to this, it shows you this actor's range. But I mean, he's just amazing to watch, and I've really enjoyed Freddy's story. So he's not going into work. He invites his coworker friend to the park, and he's already, you see, thinking of his next arson with the fire sparks behind him while he's on the phone with his friend. But we see that Freddy here at this park, this is his happiest childhood memory. And he even looks at a poster here of the fire juggler. Of course he does. But he's burning everything he owns that's important, like his employee handbook, his birth certificate, his social security card, money, because we know he's about to go out in his last arson here, that it's going to be a murder-suicide. Now, the friend meets with Freddy, talks about how the new manager is not good, and Freddy's like, oh, we should just kill him, burn him while he sleeps. And he's like, I know his address, too. And that spooks out the friend. And then the friend's able to connect that the HR manager from the chicken shop died last night in fire, so he can connect it's Freddy. So he's really spooked. And the acting, like I said, the actor here is great as Freddy, and he gets his phone and he throws it, and then he gets his car keys and he tells the friend to catch a bus, and he follows him out. And I love this is like a horror moment here with him following him. It's very haunting. Just probably my favorite scene of the episode. And then it just is a wild ending here where Brenda walks home into gasoline on her carpet. Freddy's there, and he's like, I never asked for much. And he says, when I left your house, they gave me a check, $200, and sent me out. I've been out here for 25 years, still felt like that first day. I don't get it. This man who feels wronged by the system, by life, and he takes it out with his arson. And now he's about to take out the woman who probably treated him the best and didn't keep him at the end of the day. And he's going to take her out with him on his final arson. But that all stops when Dave comes in and he sprays the fire extinguisher on him. Then we see that Dave is aroused, and of course it has sexual imagery with all this white goo coming out of the fire extinguisher. So it's just a wild ending with Dave here. And he says to Brenda, hey, you're okay, you're safe now. This is coming from another arsonist. She doesn't even know. But I do think he's going to call in the Freddy incident. But this is such a thrill for him to see someone else doing what he does and how he does it, and actually catching him in the act of it. So really wild ending and a really wild episode. It was my favorite of the series. I'm going to give this one a 9. I thought that everything with Freddy was so good. I thought it was really fun watching Dave catch up to everything with Freddy. And I thought everything with Harvey was really strong there. It wasn't really a big Michelle episode, but it was set for Harvey to have his big moments and them getting on to Dave. So now we know everything's on the table, and stuff did hit the fan here, and now it's going to hit the fan here even more with Dave. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Freddy and how they interview him and what he'll reveal and how it will connect to Dave, and more we'll learn about Michelle and her mother. So I'm very, very intrigued, and I'm still really liking the show, even though I feel like no one's really talking about it. So I feel like I'm out here on a mountain just singing my praises alone, but I really like it, and I hope you're enjoying it. I'd love to hear your comments and feedback on this. Please check out my interview with Jurnee Smollett about the show. It's a really fun time. It's linked in the comments. Please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Instagram. It will really help in so many ways. I could really use that buff. I really appreciate it, guys. And I can't wait for the next episode. I'll see you next week.